me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 2018 NFL Draft Prospects 101 series, your guide to some of the biggest and hottest names of the 2018 NFL Draft. We're talking cornerbacks here on the program, and this group of cornerbacks is interesting. We don't have a bunch of big guys like we did last season, where it just seemed like the draft was chocked and stocked full of 6'2" and 6'1" and 6'3" guys like an Ahkello Witherspoon that you could get in the third or fourth round of the draft. This is a draft that is very, very heavy and concentrated, especially early in the draft when you're talking from a talent perspective, of undersized guys that we look at probably more suited for the slot, maybe going to get a chance to play out wide depending on where they land and what that defensive coordinator and head coach have in mind. I'm always one guy that and I do this with tackles, that guys who are tackles in college have to kick inside the guard or center or what may have you. I'm always a guy, hey, until you prove to me that you can't, I'm going to give you an opportunity to prove that you can. So I'm going to say the same thing for a lot of these corners. Until they prove to me that they can't, I'm going to give them an opportunity to prove that they can. So this next guy, though, I'm here to tell you I'm not as high on him as a lot of people are. You'll hear that in this breakdown. I'm not saying he's not good. I just don't think he's as good as he's being broadcast as. But in any event, we're going to break him down and talk about what he brings to the table. I can tell you this much: he's not as good as the crop that we got out of that same school last season, that's for sure. I'm talking about Ohio State cornerback Denzel Ward. I'm going to talk about what he brings to the table, why he's going to be one of the first quarterbacks taken off the board, and why buyer should beware with Denzel Ward. But first, we're going to start with his pros. So obviously, when you're talking Denzel Ward, the first thing you're going to talk about is speed. Pure, unadulterated speed. Man ran a 4.32 at the combine. He's a track guy, so that was to be expected. And he lit it up there. Didn't do anything else at the combine from an athletic standpoint. Ran the 40, did the rest of his positional work at the pro day, and all went well there from all reports. So this is a guy that checked off the speed box. You can go ahead and throw at acceleration, athleticism, all of those things, agility, change of direction, all of those things come in the Denzel Ward package. That's not something that I was worried about on tape. That's not something that I was worried about going into this process with him, okay? I knew those things were going to come with his package, okay? He's fast, and when you're running a 4.32, you know the acceleration is there. He's very quick, nimble on his feet, so change of direction and agility, not a problem for Denzel Ward. It's some of the other things. It's some of the ancillary things that could become very much a part of the forefront of his game and may become an issue later on down the line. And so we'll talk about those things a little bit later on. But those things that I just mentioned, agility, change of direction, acceleration, athleticism, speed, all of those things are top notch when discussing Denzel Ward. Anticipation and awareness. I don't love his awareness, but I do love his anticipation. Here's what the difference is for me with him. Anticipation is great in zone coverage when you can see something developing, you can see route combinations, you've done the film study on tape, you understand what teams are trying to do, and you can react to what you see and be proactive instead of reactive and go out and make a play. In man-to-man coverages, awareness is the ability to find the ball and being an LLCer. And you know, that's one of my biggest things. That's, if you're for a cornerback, you want to be on my good side, be an LLCer. You want to have me be a little annoyed with you as a football player, as a cornerback. Be a guy that doesn't look, locate, and contest. And so we'll talk about that with Denzel Ward. Okay, that's my biggest pet peeve with him, is he doesn't look, locate the football. He does contest, which is why I gave him a positive mark here for his awareness, because what he does do a great job of is he looks at the receiver, and when they go for the football, he does a great job of raking down at their arms, raking at the football and jarring it loose. That's where he excels in man-to-man coverage. That's where he excels when his back is turned to the quarterback and doesn't see the football, is he can still make a play when he's not focused on the right thing, which is the ball, and he's playing man instead of ball, which I'm not a huge fan of. Sometimes there's a time to play man, there's a time to play ball. I want you playing ball more times than man, but if you don't play man, sometimes it can get you into trouble. He's generally 90 to 95% of the time he's playing man, has no idea of where ball is. It's just like defense in basketball. See man, see ball. You want to see both. You want to be able to have an idea where the man is. You got to keep a little arm bar on the man just to know where he is, but you're locating football. I'm all for it. What I don't want you to do is face guard 90 to 95% of the time, which is what he does. But he does make up for that by having that awareness to be able to strip that football away, to knock it out of the receiver's hand as he's going to catch it. I think the best game, if you really want to see what Denzel Ward is, all in one package, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great. You want to see all of it in one package, just turn on the first game of the season versus Indiana in 2017. To me, you get everything that is Denzel Ward. In that one football game, he tackles, he's competitive, he wants the challenge of having the football thrown his way. He makes plays on guys when he's not locating the football, but then when he is looking, he can knock away the slant or he can go and pick it off. So you see everything to me in that one football game. I mean, for all intents and purposes, that's the game that I kind of saw everything I needed to see all encapsulated in one game with Denzel Ward. So I gave him a positive mark for awareness and anticipation, even though I don't love the fact that he doesn't locate the football, which we'll talk about, of course, a little bit later on. Ball skills. Only 2 career INTs, and some of that stems from his lack of playing time. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But my thing with him is, which is why I'm so annoyed by his game, is because when he does locate the football, he's a very good go after the football type of cornerback. He's a guy that will go up and make a play on the football. Ball's in the air as a defender, equal opportunity offender. It's your ball just like it is the receiver's ball. Go and get it. He's the type of guy, like you saw against Wisconsin, he'll go up and go get it. But he just doesn't locate the football enough, so he doesn't have enough opportunities to make those types of plays, which really annoys me with Denzel Ward. But you've seen the ball skills. When he's looking, he's cooking, and he's got a chance to pick it off. Problem is, he's not looking often enough. Tackling and willingness to tackle. I love this. Now, he is impeded and impacted by his size. There's no getting around him and his size, but the man is not afraid to put his shoulder, head, everything in the mix and try to get you on the ground. He's feisty, he's physical, and he wants to be a part of run support. So I love that aspect of what Denzel Ward brings to the table. For his size, he'll get in the mix and try to help out his teammates. Man coverage ability, also a pro, as well as zone coverage. Like I said, his man coverage, especially underneath, when he's able to redirect, turn, and run with a receiver, whether it be a slant or a dragger across the field where they're trying to create traffic with a bunch set. He's able to sort through the traffic, use the acceleration to catch back up, get into the play, knock footballs away, or turn the quarterback away from that option. So in man situations, running down the field, again, he does a great job of raking at the arms of a receiver who's looking to get the football. If you're a receiver that gives away the tell of football coming, Denzel Ward will make a play on that football. If you have late hands as a receiver, you're going to make some plays against Denzel Ward in the passing game because he does not look back for the football enough. But zone coverage, to me, is where he's going to probably do most of his damage from an interception standpoint, because that's when he's got the ability to locate man and ball, see it coming, and then go and attack it. He doesn't do it in man coverage very often. So I think a lot of what you'll see from him at the next level in terms of making plays on the football, because much like people feel like with the quarterback position, how accuracy isn't something that you change and you're not going to improve on that as you get older or as you become more comfortable in a situation. It's rare to change accuracy as a quarterback. I think it's rare that a guy looks for the football. Either you do or you don't. Generally, corners don't have the ability to evolve as a corner over the years and start looking for the football. They don't just get comfortable. If you panic with the football in the air, generally that's who you are. You panic with ball in the air and you don't know where it is. He's one of those guys that with the football in the air, he doesn't necessarily panic, but he's not turning around to locate it either. So I think he's going to do most of his damage from an interception standpoint in zone coverage, but I think he does both of them equally well as it stands right now. Again, not to my liking, but I think he does them well enough to be a really good defender at the next level. Versatility is the last pro for him. He offers you some slot, and I think that may ultimately be what his best position is at the next level. I liken him to a guy like Kendall Fuller that the Redskins selected out of Virginia Tech a few years ago, that in college was a boundary corner, very physical, rarely looked for the football, was very, very aggressive. I go back to that Ohio State game, and I talked about this before a couple of years ago, where they were on the road at the Big Horseshoe, and he had the game of his life. I think a lot of people had Kendall Fuller on their board after that game. They looked at him as a top prospect. Then he had the microfracture surgery the next year and all of that, and he dropped to the 3rd round. Gets into the NFL, he ends up being a slot corner, and he excelled at it. And now I think he's going to get a chance to play out wide in Kansas City. A little bit bigger than Ward is Kendall Fuller. And so from that standpoint, I think you're looking at a guy that I don't know if he's going to be able to play outside at the next level, especially when you're talking about his weight. Because I watched some guys with bigger frames box him out and be able to go up and compete for the football. There's a play against, we'll talk about, you know what, as a matter of fact, perfect segue. We'll go from his pros, okay, to his cons. Let's talk about Denzel Ward and his cons and why I think some people may be overrating him as a top 15 prospect in the 2018 NFL Draft. So I got ahead of myself. So I've been dying to get to these, as you can tell. So let's just get to them, right? So the first thing, obviously, is his measurables. That's the first thing that screams out at you when you're talking about Denzel Ward. And I talked about this being a cornerback draft class where you're not going to get a ton of size. So when you do see a guy with a little bit of length and size, you're going to want to pounce all over him, because that's the new day and age in the NFL, having guys that can cover outside these much bigger, taller, longer wide receivers with bigger bodies. Well, Denzel Ward isn't one of those guys. At 5'11", 183. The 183 probably scares me more so than the 5'11". The 183 is a problem as a tackler. That's number one. And number two, just think of it in terms of boxing out in basketball. If a guy's got a wide body and he's, say, 270 pounds, and you're a guard and you're 6'4", and this guy's 6'11", 270, and you're 6'3", 6'4", you're 210 pounds, there's a big disadvantage down low getting a rebound. I mean, he can box you out just by standing in front of you and putting his derriere on you, okay? He puts a little bit of ass on you, you're done, okay? Same thing with Denzel Ward. I'm watching him in some situations where he's just not big enough. Guys are just too big. They're boxing him out. Simi Cobbs catches a touchdown in the end. He's just more physical than Denzel Ward. Obviously, he didn't look for the football, but Simi Cobbs got about a good 5-inch advantage in terms of height. Quarterback just throws it up. He's able to out-muscle him for the football. It's a touchdown. And they were going at Ward in that football game. Now, Ward made a ton of plays in that game. Again, not looking for the football. Some better placed footballs might have been completions in that game nonetheless. Got to give Ward credit for breaking some of those passes up despite not looking back for the football. In any event, his size is something that I question, especially the buck 83. 5'11", you can get away with that, I think, outside if you wanted to put him out wide. There's small corners that are 5'11", 5'10" in this league that are excelling. There aren't a ton of them, but they do exist. It's the 183 that scares me with Denzel Ward more than anything else, but we'll see how that all shakes out. I think he's going to probably be more of a slot when it's all said and done, and maybe a guy that on first and second down is able to play out wide for you, and in those crucial third down situations, you kick him inside and he plays a little bit of slot for you. We'll see what happens, but experience is another big con for me with him. Only 1 year as a true starter at Ohio State. Remember, they're calling themselves DBU now at Ohio State, because for the first time, and he's going to be a first-round pick, you're going to see a team with 4 corners go off the board. And really, the record was, hey, no team's ever had 3 corners go in the draft in 2 years, okay? 3 first-round corners in 2 separate drafts. They had, if you go all the way back to Eli Apple in the 2015 draft, or 2016 draft, excuse me. Then you go to the 2017 draft last year, you get Marshawn Lattimore, Garyon Conley. Now you're gonna get Denzel Ward, so 4 first-round corners in 3 years. It's never happened in the NFL draft. And so he's gonna go in the first round, but he had to wait. Just listen to all the guys I just named. He had to wait for his turn, all right? Conley was a 2 or 3 year starter. I think he was a 2-year starter at Ohio State. You've got Marshon Lattimore, who really was only a 1-year starter, but he was a beast and he had everything you were looking for. Size, speed, tackling ability, everything in that one package. You were in love with Marshon Lattimore from the day that you met him as a football player. So he had to wait. Eli Apple was there prior to that. There was a long line of guys that he had to play behind. So he did get some work in the slot, but he hasn't been the guy. It was just one true year of being a guy. And I think some of that inexperience kind of showed in some of the games where teams were able to take advantage of his lack of experience. So that's something else I worry about, but not too much. I don't want to overblow that. But a lot of these corners in this draft, they don't blitz. And I would have loved to have seen Denzel or Ward blitz a little bit more just because I think his home may be in the slot at the next level. And I would have loved to have seen if this guy's capable of blitzing in some situations where you want to surprise the other team, send a slot blitz and see if you can't catch a team off guard. But in any event, I'm not going to kill him for that. It's just something that you don't get with the Denzel Ward package. And finally, my biggest pet peeve and my biggest con is he's not an LLC. And for those of you who haven't been watching and don't know what that is, it's simply my way of saying, look, locate, contest. If you want to be one of the best in the league at the cornerback position, you can't do that if you don't look, locate, and contest. All he does out of those three is contest, okay? Which isn't a bad thing, but it's not a great thing because you don't get interceptions. You don't make plays on the football generally when you don't look and locate. You can't contest and play what you don't see, okay? So you want to ball? Well, you can't ball if you don't see the ball. If you don't look, then how are you supposed to locate? If you can't locate, how are you supposed to contest and make a play on the football? He makes plays on the football by contesting after the receiver has already gotten his hands on the football. Now he's looking to make a play. I'm not a fan of that. You get pass interference penalties, which he did a pretty good job in college of not going overboard and running in and crashing. But guys are savvy at the next level. Oh, you're not looking for the football? I will run into you purposely. I will stop, put the brakes on, knowing damn well I can't catch it, but act as if I'm dying to get back to the rock because you're not locating and run slam into you. And that referee, that official is going to throw the flag. Guys are very savvy at the next level. He's going to pick up his fair share of PIs. He grabs a lot down the field. He's very grabby. He's very physical. He molests guys, okay? I've seen guys serve 2 to 4 years for some of the things he's doing at Ohio State. So I'm a little nervous with a guy that doesn't look back for the football because referees will let you get away with contact if you look back. But if you're not looking for the rock, you're going to pay. You're going to pay big time. And I think he's one of those guys. He's going to be heavily penalized at the next level because he doesn't look, locate, and contest the football all in one package. He's just contesting. And eventually, guys are going to be on to you and what you do, and they're going to make you pay for not looking back and finding the football. There are some really good corners in this draft that look for the football, and I love it. This guy, not one of them, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves with Denzel Ward. But look, the guy's very athletic. The guy can run. He does a great job of contesting without looking for the football, which I don't love, but it is a skill nonetheless. And so we'll see what happens with Denzel Ward. We'll see if he ends up getting an opportunity to play out wide or if a team just pigeonholes him, puts him in a box and says, hey, you're a slot at the next level. His weight, his size says he's a slot. We'll see if he gets an opportunity to play out wide, but that's Denzel Ward in a nutshell. Can another Ohio State corner come in the league and light it up like Marshon Lattimore did a season ago? And I think Gareon Conley, once healthy with his legal troubles behind him, he's going to light it up for the Oakland Raiders as well once he gets his situation straight on the field. So I think those guys are going to pan out. We'll see if Denzel Ward can do the same in 2018. But that's his Draft Prospects 101 breakdown. I've got plenty more. Remember, if you want to see his score and the score of the other corners and some of the other players in general that I was able to break down, go to the website LouieTNetwork.net for more scores and breakdowns of these players. But again, that's Denzel Ward. I'm your man, Louie T. Plenty more of where this came from, so don't you go anywhere. Remember, we're changing the game over here, period. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.